What happens when one small mistake pulls you into a game where survival becomes the only question, and every decision pushes you closer to death? Friendship, trust, humanity, all of it fades the moment it's just money and the fight to stay alive. And believe this, no one in this story is who they seem. So get ready, because you're watching MOVOX Range, where every story plays with your mind, and this one is going to hold you till the very end. The story opens with a young woman, injured, moving through the darkness. She looks terrified. In her hands, she's holding a gun and a bag stuffed with cash. She keeps glancing over her shoulder. She reaches a stretch of road. Then suddenly, her car gets a flat tire. The fear on her face is unmistakable, like she knows the danger isn't over, like someone is still coming after her. She grabs the bag and the gun, stepping away from the car, and then a vehicle comes speeding in from behind. It slams straight into her. She dies on impact. Inside that car are 4 friends. They were on their way to a remote cabin for a hunting trip. Now, shaken, they step out of the car. None of them know what to do. The fear and confusion on their faces say it all. The situation is already slipping out of control. Then Paul notices the bag filled with cash. The moment he sees it, something changes. He tells the others their lives are about to change, because he's the most greedy one among them. But the other 3 panic. There's a dead girl lying right in front of them. John insists they should take the money and go to the police. Paul immediately shuts that down. He argues the cops will keep the money and pin the murder on them. Is that what you want? He snaps. John isn't okay with any of this, but things have already gone too far, and the line between right and wrong is starting to blur. The other 2 end up backing Paul. First, they don't want to go to prison. Second, the money is too tempting. Greed quietly starts taking over them too. One of them asks Paul what they're supposed to do with the body. There's still fear in their eyes, but the pull of the money is slowly changing their judgment. Paul lays out a plan. Once they reach the cabin, they'll bury the bodies somewhere deep in the woods. Then they split the money and forget this ever happened. They load the girl's body and the bag into the car. They're about to leave when a police cruiser pulls up. The officer is actually searching for that same girl. Paul immediately tells everyone to stay calm. No sudden moves, no mistakes. The tension spikes instantly, because one wrong move now could send them straight to jail. The officer checks the girl's car first. Then he walks over and starts questioning them. Paul says they haven't seen any girl, claims their car just broke down in the middle of the road. The officer looks at their vehicle. It's practically brand new. He questions how it could suddenly break down. Paul says they don't know. It just stopped after they got there. The officer nods slightly, then says everything seems fine, but he'd like to take a closer look. And in that moment, Paul feels it. The truth isn't going to stay hidden much longer. Now, Paul is panicking. If the officer looks inside, it's over. So he does something reckless. He grabs the girl's gun and points it straight at the cop. The others freeze, shocked, terrified. In that moment, fear completely takes over Paul and pushes him towards something irreversible. Both his friends and the officer tell him to put the gun down. Paul doesn't listen. He pulls the trigger and kills the officer. The others can't believe what just happened. He just murdered a cop. One of them says they need to figure out what to do next, fast, because this isn't just an accident anymore. This is a serious crime, and getting out of it won't be easy. Paul comes up with another plan. They leave the officer's body there, make it look like the girl killed him and ran. After that, they get back in the car and head to the cabin. When they arrive, the place is completely isolated, surrounded by dense woods, no one around for miles. John is shaken. He can barely process anything. He stops talking altogether. 2 of the friends start digging a hole to bury the body. Meanwhile, Paul sits aside, counting the money, getting ready to split it evenly between them. But the decision they've made, it's already pulling them into something much darker, and getting out of it now won't be easy. When John calls his wife, she says, "I've been calling you since morning, but you haven't answered a single call. I need to know why." John replies, "I'm fine. I'll be home soon after the hunting trip. Don't worry." There's tension in his voice, barely hidden, but he can't bring himself to tell her the truth. Then we see another man, Sydney. He arrives at a spot where the girl's car was left. He looks inside, nothing. Then he notices the blood on the ground, a lot of it, and just like that, he knows where to go. He gets back in his car and heads straight to the cabin, the same place where the 4 friends are burying the body. There's something about Sydney, the way he carries himself. It's clear he knows a lot more than he's letting on. The 4 of them are stunned to see him. Paul steps forward and asks, "Who are you?" Sydney answers calmly, "You have something of mine. A bag. I'm here to take it. Give it to me, and I'll let all 4 of you walk away." They can't understand how he even got there. Paul immediately points a gun at him and tells one of his friends to search him. At this point, everything is shifting. The truth, everyone's real intentions, are all about to come out. But they don't find any weapon on him. Sydney stays calm. He repeats himself, "Just give me my bag and I'll leave." Paul presses him, "How did you find us? Does anyone else know about this?" Sydney's calmness only makes things worse. "In a situation like this, no one stays that calm." Sydney responds, "I don't know about anyone else, but I know everything about you." He pauses. "There are things I know that you don't. That's why I'm telling you. Give me my bag and I'll walk away quietly." They don't know what to make of him. He's not angry, not panicking, just steady, but the threat in his words hangs in the air, and it makes everything feel even more dangerous. Suddenly, they hear noises coming from the woods. It sounds like move. The fact that they have no way to get Sydney's touch is all about this fate. John and one of his friends grab their guns and head into the woods. Back at the cabin, Paul asks Sydney, "How many people do you have out there?" Sydney says he came alone, but Paul doesn't believe him. So he takes Sydney down into the basement and ties him up. Out in the woods, John and his friend come across a trap, something set up to catch animals. As they look at it, they notice a man nearby. Now everything feels off. Every sound, every movement, it all feels like a threat waiting to strike. The man sees them holding guns and he panics. He turns and runs, but they chase him down and bring him back to the cabin. Paul steps in and asks, "Where are the others?" The man looks terrified, like he just wants to get out of this alive. He starts crying. "I don't know what you're talking about. My house is nearby. Please, let me go back to my wife and daughter. I didn't do anything." He's shaking. His voice is breaking. It's clear he's telling the truth. John sees it too. He feels it. Fear and sympathy, both calling at him at the same time. John says, "Look at him. I don't think he knows anything." But Paul isn't convinced. He's seen us. If he goes to the police, we're done. All of us. So he has to die. Then Paul adds, "This time, someone else has to do it." Reluctantly, one of John's friends steps forward. "I'll do it." The man begs for his life, but when the moment comes, he can't pull the trigger. That's when Paul steps in again. He points the gun and forces him to shoot. In that moment, whatever was left of their humanity breaks completely, and now there's no going back. In that helpless moment, John's friend pulls the trigger. The man drops right there, dead. Shock hits instantly. He just killed someone. He can't process it. Meanwhile, John starts dealing with the bodies. That moment shakes whatever humanity they had left, but they've already stepped too far down this road, and turning back isn't simple anymore. Paul walks over to Sydney. She looks at him and says he just killed an innocent man. She reminds him he knew the man was innocent. Then she goes deeper, says this isn't about survival anymore. He's starting to enjoy it, like it's becoming a habit, an addiction. Paul is caught off guard. The way she says it, it hits something real. Her words drag out a truth he's been avoiding, something darker inside him. Then John walks in. Sydney looks at all of them and says, "One last time, give me my money back and I'll leave." One of Paul's friends suggests they could just give her a share. End it. No more problems. But Paul refuses. Sydney responds calmly. She doesn't want to cut. It's all or nothing. That's when Paul raises the gun to her head. Now everything is completely out of control. Every choice feels like it's leading straight to more bloodshed. Sydney stays quiet for a moment. Then, in a low voice, she says, "You can't kill me." And then she adds something unexpected. "Why don't you tell your friends about California?" Paul freezes, completely thrown off. That one line shifts the entire room. The tension spikes like something buried is about to come out. Paul asks her how she knows that. Then John turns to him. What happened in California? At first, Paul tries to dodge it, but then he starts talking. He says last year, during a business trip to California, he met a woman. She came with him willingly, but the next morning, everything changed. She threatened him, said if he didn't give her money, she'd go to the police and accuse him of rape. They argued. It escalated, and in a moment of rage, Paul killed her. Then he cut up the body and got rid of it. The truth lands hard. This isn't new for him. He's done this before. It means Paul was already a killer. His friends can't believe it. Paul tries to justify it, says he was scared, says he did it to save himself. But at that moment, John's friend, already shaken, snaps. He storms into the basement, points a gun at Paul, and says, "Because of you, I killed someone, and I regret it." Now the trust between them is completely gone. Everyone is looking at each other with doubt. Paul fires back, reminding him that he volunteered to do it, that he stepped up himself. That hits hard. He freezes. And in that moment, Paul takes advantage, grabs the gun from him. Then he turns it back on him and starts beating him. Paul has crossed a line. The anger inside him is out of control now. John and the other friend try to stop him, but he won't back down. So the other friend takes the gun and slams it into Paul's head. Paul drops unconscious. When Paul wakes up, he finds himself tied up in the basement, right next to Sydney. Upstairs, John and the other friend are talking about the money. John says until they figure something out, they should hide it somewhere deep in the woods. He's starting to realize something. Since that bag showed up, it hasn't brought anything good. It's only taken things away. Their judgment, their humanity. Down in the basement, Sydney starts pushing Paul again. She tells him his friend is probably going to take the money and leave him out. That's all it takes. Paul snaps. He breaks free and runs after John, but before he can reach him, John's friend fires. The shot hits Paul and he drops. Now the story is fully tangled in betrayal and greed, and every move from here just makes things worse. They assume Paul is dead, that it's over. John's friend goes down into the basement and breaks down, crying. Sydney watches him and says, "What's the point now?" She's right. Nothing is going to change what's already happened. "You didn't want to kill that man," she says, "but you did, and now you shot your own friend. Do you really think crying fixes that?" Meanwhile, John is out in the woods. He finds a hollow tree and hides hides the bag inside it. He wants out, wants to walk away from all of this, but the truth is, he can't escape it. After a while, Paul opens his eyes. He's alive. The bullet hit his shoulder. He quickly drags himself behind a tree, hiding. Now he knows his own friends turned on him. Back at the cabin, Sydney asks the friend, "Do you trust John?" He answers, "Yeah, I trust him." Sydney looks at him and says, "You think this money is going to make your life better, right?" Then she adds, "No one has ever benefited from that money." He snaps at her to stay quiet. At this point, fear and suspicion have taken over completely. No one trusts anyone anymore. Sydney says again, "Give me my money and I'll let you walk out alive." But the friend doesn't fully understand what she means. As John heads back to the cabin, Paul suddenly steps in front of him, aiming a gun. He tells them, "Take me to the bag or I'll shoot you." Things have gotten so bad that now everyone is ready to do anything just to stay alive. John drops his gun. He says he's tired of all of this. If Paul wants the money, he'll take him there. But on the way, John quietly leads him down a different path, a place where animal traps are set. Then it happens. Paul's leg snaps into one of the traps. He screams in pain. For the first time, John uses his own strategy to survive. It's clear now, he's changed too. But instead of helping, John picks up his gun and runs. He heads back to the cabin and tells the others everything. After hearing it, one of them says Paul is still their friend. They can't just leave him there to die. Then Sydney speaks again. She tells them they still have a chance. Just give her the money. When Paul's friend starts threatening her again, Sydney calmly says she knows ever extrapolate away. She wants it to move. Finally, "I know you should save her." At this point, trust is completely gone, and the truth is slowly coming out from every side. Sydney starts to say more, asking how they can betray each other like this, but before she can finish, Paul's friend shoots her in the head. Right after that, a strange sound fills the air, sharp, piercing. They all start screaming in pain. The sound cuts through their ears, making everything worse, like something unnatural is happening around them. After a while, they reach the spot where John hid the money. On the way, Paul sees them. Quietly, he starts following from behind. Along the path, Paul finds John's gun. He picks it up. Now he's fully alert, waiting for the right moment to take control again. As they move forward, John asks his friend if he's hiding something. The friend hesitates, then admits it. He says he's been involved with John's wife. That hits hard. John is stunned. He snaps, saying he trusted him, did everything for him, and this had been going on for so long without him knowing. John raises the gun to his head, but doesn't shoot. Instead, he says they'll take the money and leave, and after this, he never wants to see him again. That moment destroys whatever was left of their friendship. Everything falls apart completely. Back at the cabin, Sydney suddenly opens her eyes. That means she's alive again, not human. This truth shifts everything. The danger is now something far beyond what they thought. Meanwhile, the three of them reach the tree where the money is hidden. One of them says they should go back for Paul, but the other says forget him. He's probably already dead. At that exact moment, Paul steps out and shoots him. He drops instantly. Paul had been watching them the whole time. It's clear now, he doesn't trust anyone anymore. He's only thinking about himself. John and the remaining friend hide behind a tree. The friend calls out to Paul, saying they're still friends, but they were coming to get him. He says he'll drop his gun and come out, tells Paul to do the same. Paul tells him to come out first. John tries to stop him, but the friend still trusts Paul. He steps out holding the bag. Then suddenly, he sees Sydney standing behind Paul. He freezes, shocked. The bag slips from his hands. He can't understand how she's alive. Paul turns, confused, and in that moment, he shoots him. Now only Paul and John are left. The game has reached its final stage. Only one of them is going to make it out. Somehow, bodies are still left behind. Sydney drags John's friend near a tree. Then she injects him and starts draining his blood. That's when the truth comes out. Sydney is a vampire. Everything suddenly makes sense. This was never just about the money. As the man takes his last breaths, Sydney tells him humans are like dogs. Give them a piece of meat and they'll turn on each other. The only difference here is money. Greed makes humans no different from animals. People chase food, people chase money. And just like that, she threw money in front of them and they destroyed their own bond. There's a harsh truth in her words, a clear reflection of human greed. She reveals this was all a test, something she's been doing for years. Meanwhile, John peeks out from hiding and Paul fires at him. Paul thinks he's dead, but John is still alive. So when Cole walks up to grab the bag, John shoots him. This time, Paul dies. Now the end is close, and everyone is facing the result of what they've done. But John is dying too. He's badly injured. That's when Sydney walks up to him. She makes him drink her blood. She tells him it's a gift, that he'll become immortal, that he'll never die. In that moment, John's life changes completely. He's no longer human. Sydney says humans are greedy. They'll do anything for their own gain. And now, she's giving him a new life. She takes the bag of cash and the gun and walks away. The next morning, she places the bag back inside the girl's car. Then, after some time, the girl walks toward the car, alive, which means she never died that day. She's immortal too. Now it's clear, this has been going on for a long time. A cycle, a trap, humans being tested and hunted. The girl picks up the bag and starts again. She's been working with Sydney for years, running the same setup, collecting blood blood. Later, we see 2 more people finding the bag. Shocked, tempted, the same greed begins to grow in them, which means they're next. And John, he's still alive too. After drinking Sydney's blood, he's become one of them, immortal, part of the same mission now. So does the story end here? No, because this cycle never really ends, and greed will always find new victims. If you really think about it, the true villain in this story isn't a person, it's greed. That's what turns friends into enemies. That's what slowly turns people into something much darker. So ask yourself this: if you were in that situation, standing right there, would you have been able to stop yourself? And if you want more stories like this, stories that mess with your mind, then do one thing right now. Go ahead and subscribe to channel MOVOX Range, because every story here is built to make you think, because the next story might be even more dangerous than this one.